What if modern war wasn't invented by generals or weapons, but by a change in the human mind? The moment humans learn to share a story, to believe in the same myth of us, we unlock something no other animal could do. Coordinate violence at scale. The deadliest weapon isn't a bomb or a bullet, it's the idea that someone else isn't fully human. Once that idea takes root, the rest of the war becomes logistics. This personal narrative sets up a deeper question. How do history, biology, evolution, and psychology explain why humans fight, and how we might break the cycle of violence? Anthropologist Lawrence Killy argues that small-scale warfare could be proportionally deadlier than modern wars. Casualty rates in tribal societies may have reached 60% of the population compared to with about 1% in the 20th century wars. At Jabal Sahaba in the Nile Valley, archaeologists excavated a 13,000 to 14,000-year-old cemetery of 61 skeletons. 41 have healed or fatal injuries, and stone-tipped spears and arrows affecting men, women, and children. These people weren't victims of a single massacre. They lived under the expectation of repeated violence. Early warfare, in other words, was 20 times more lethal relative to population size. Scaling up resources, specialization, and distance as humans settled into farming, conflict changed shape. Fixed resources meant there was something tangible to fight over, and defending territory became a moral justification for violence.
It is my land. It is mine. Stay away.
Bronze accelerated it. The alloy didn't just create weapons, it created specialists, miners, smelters, smiths, elites, and turned war into a pipeline of supply and control. Centuries later, gunpowder killed the monopoly of the warrior. Killing could be done at a distance by amateurs, eroding the myth that only the brave and trained could kill. The industrial age mechanized distance. Railway, factories, and mass conscription turned battlefields into logistics competitions. Who could produce, move, and replace bodies and shells fastest? Picture a soldier in 1916. He isn't dueling, he's living under the rhythm of artillery, counting days in the mud beneath a sky that screams. War becomes an environment. Kelsey's data shows that violence predates civilization and scales with technology. If early humans were capable of recurring group violence long before nations existed, what forces inside us, biological and cognitive, make war feel possible and sometimes even meaningful? That is the subject of our next section on biology. People sometimes search for a warrior gene, but biology is about sensitivity, not destiny. Genes interact with experience. In long-term study, maltreated children were more likely to develop antisocial behavior only if they had a particular variant of the MAO gene. Another variant buffered them. Threat detection is one component. Neuroscientist Joseph Ledoux showed that when a neutral stimulus is paired with a painful one, the amygdala triggers a fear response. narrowing attention and priming the body for defense. But war requires more than fear. It requires bonding. Oxytocin, often called the love hormone, is better understood as a bonding hormone. Experiments show it promotes trust and generosity within groups and defensive aggression toward outsiders. The same molecule that nurtures infants can intensify dynamics. Armies don't just teach you to shoot, they teach you to move together. Research demonstrates that synchronized activities, marching or singing, make people more cooperative and willing to sacrifice. Synchrony glues a unit together, but it can also dampen independent judgment and increase conformity. Fear plus bonding plus synchrony can make people willing to die for strangers who share a symbol. If biology can fuse us into a cohesive group when danger looms, how might natural selection have shaped those instincts? Evolution may have built minds capable of parasocial altruism, good to us, cruel to them. Real-world experiments illustrate how quickly us and them form. In the Robbers Cave study, researchers divided boys into groups. Competition led to raids and insults, but when the boys were given subordinate goals, fixing a broken water supply or pulling a truck, the hostility melted and cooperation emerged. Minimal group experiments go further. Participants arbitrarily assigned to Group A or Group B show favoritism toward their own group when allocating rewards, even without competition. Categories alone are enough to create an us across cultural and eras. Coordinated violence appears wherever resources are contested, yet humans are also gifted storytellers. Anthropologists find that skilled storytellers are valued in hunter-gatherer societies because they help enforce cooperation and teach social norms. Stories bind groups together, harnessing our evolved capacities for empathy and imagination. If evolution equips us with parasocial altruism, the capacity of cooperation and cruelty, what psychological mechanisms turn loyalty into obedience, dehumanization, and large-scale harm? Biology gives us the capacity, psychology organizes war into a system. There are 4 levers to scale violence: identity, dehumanization, obedience, and distance. Identity is inventing the us. War begins psychologically before it begins physically. We need a story of us and a narrowed story of them. Minimal group experiments show that identity can form around arbitrary categories. Once identity fuses, people think we are surviving, not I am fighting. Dehumanization is turning people into categories. Language doesn't just describe enemies, it manufactures permission. Describing opponents as vermin, diseased, or monsters strips away this moral restraint. Scholars note that dehumanization reduces empathy and can pave the way for atrocities. Laboratory studies show that participants administer harsher punishments when victims are dehumanized and when responsibility is diffused. Harm is procedure, war is not just rage. It's bureaucracy, change of command and routine turn cruelty into duty. At Hoffling's hospital experiment, 21 out of 22 nurses obeyed a stranger's order to administer a potentially dangerous dose of a fictitious drug. When harm becomes a bureaucratic task, ordinary people may do extraordinary damage. And finally, distance. Abstracting killing, gunpowder introduced distance, industrial war scaled to digital war perfects it. Drones allow killing from thousands of miles away, yet distance doesn't remove the harm, it changes its form. It can result in guilt, shame, and a shattered sense of self. Modern veterans report feeling morally injured when they feel complicit in harm, even if they followed orders or never saw the victims. These psychological levers reveal how normal motives, belonging, duty, identity, fear, can be converted into organized harm. Are humans naturally peaceful, naturally violent, or something more complex? A species capable of either, depending on the stories we tell and the systems we build. These questions do not demand immediate answers, but they invite us to rethink how we channel our shared narratives and biological instincts towards cooperation rather than destruction.